something different. Eddie Rispone for governor.
Paid for by Eddie Rispone for governor.
This is Senator Karen Carter Peterson. You know me, born and raised right here in New Orleans. I know our
Greetings,
neighborhoods
Facebook
and our
Live.
city. That's why I've been a champion for you. When the critics
Getting
said
ready to get
that
started
we
in
couldn't
2
expand
minutes.
healthcare, I, along with Governor Edwards, took on the insurance lobby. Today, 450,000 people now have health insurance. When the state was shortchanging New Orleans taxpayers, Mayor Cantrell and I fought to get our fair share of revenues so we can start fixing our roads, drainage, and broken infrastructure. When it was time to fully fund early childhood education,
True Love
higher
Movement
education,
Tuesday.
and give our teachers a much-deserved pay raise,
Tuesday.
I was there. But the struggle is far from over. We must do more. We must keep pushing. I will continue to champion our causes because we are all in this together. Again, this is Senator Karen Carter Peterson. I humbly ask you for your vote. Paid for by Karen Carter Peterson for Senate.
My name is Margie Laudazino. I am supporting Marion Edwards for Jefferson Parish Council because he is competent, caring, and trustworthy.
Vote.
Can I urge you to vote for Marion Edwards for Parish Council?
That last one still
My name is Marion Edwards, and I am
messing with me. Have you seen her? You know
Jefferson
that.
Parish Council.
His integrity is impeccable.
He's a breath of fresh air.
He's the most qualified in this race.
I've
You
pretty
saw
much
the,
been in training all of my life to deal with the issues that are prevalent here in this
Yeah, went
district
up
and
last
really in the
Oh, okay.
entirety of Jefferson
He's already
Parish.
got
I
me.
support Marion Edwards
Yeah,
because I trust
14,
him.
15.
Public safety is
Oh,
number
cool.
one on my
Couple
vote, and I think
comments.
that's tied very closely to quality
Excuse
of
me, I
life.
haven't.
He was a good
On,
judge. He was a
YouTube?
good assistant
Yeah,
DA.
I haven't
I think the
checked
same
deep into it.
qualities that made him a good judge would make him a good council member.
I think there's no finer person to be in a position to represent the first council district.
I just want to be the very best councilman that I can for this district and this parish.
Paid for by the Marion Edwards Campaign Committee.
It's been quite some time,
I love public
Facebook
service,
Live.
and I feel like my
Long
job,
time.
it gives me
3
a
weeks, huh?
duty to perform.
I think so.
That I want to do well.
Yeah, 3 weeks.
And I think that makes me work all the
Jazz
harder.
said, oh, y'all went to last?
Degree in business, master's in public administration, graduate
Maybe he
from
missed
Law
too.
Enforcement Training Center, top level federal law enforcement officer of the Department of
Go ahead and
Justice.
share the show. Greetings, Facebook Live family. Share the show. Invite some folks to it. Do a, what they call it?
A watch party.
A watch party or something. Folks you respect.
From the Jefferson Parish Council.
Jefferson Parish needs to be prepared for the future, and we need to do things differently than we've done them in the past.
I support her because I know she's an honest public servant.
And a lady who stands and represents all of Jefferson Parish.
Cynthia really cares about people.
I will be honest.
True Love Movement
fair,
Tuesdays.
and I will lead with integrity.
Cynthia Leisha, Parish President.
Plus one.
Bless one.
WBOK, New Orleans. The following program is a paid program that doesn't necessarily reflect the views or opinions of the stand.
We ready.
Management and advertisers of WBOK.
All right, all right. Good evening, family, and welcome to True Love Movement Tuesdays. It's your host, Brother Shaq,
And Mama Fiyah.
and we'd like to welcome everyone this good, warm, and sunny Tuesday, the first day of October 2019. 10-1, Mama Fiyah.
10-1. You should be thinking about that, I think, numerologically.
That's right. And we got a +1, family.
Yeah, ones all the way around.
Right.
Yeah, we got a sweet and special guest today. She's
Uh-huh.
just so happen to be sleeping right now because she's not feeling 100%.
Oh,
but
no.
I think, mamas and, women who are mamas, who are taking care of young people, we know how to heal babies.
That's right.
They just need to be held. You know what I'm saying? So she's getting some good vibes and good healing from Mama Fiyah right now.
Well, I'd like to thank you, Mama Fiyah, for doing that. You know, 'cause
Yeah.
that's important.
It takes a healthy village, Brother Shay.
Yeah, but we want to acknowledge that. You know what I'm saying? Even though you're doing it and it looks and seems effortlessly, we have to acknowledge that it is work. and that you have had to make adjustments today, you know, to do that. So thank you for that.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you,
let
Brother
that
Shay.
be noticed.
Yeah, appreciate it.
And we also want to thank all of you for tuning in here on WBOK 12:30 a.m. Real Talk for Real Times, as well as shouting out our Facebook Live family. Simply like the True Love Movement page on Facebook, and then you can see us live here in the studio, and we'll do our best to engage with you for the duration of the show. And you know, we're on this True Love Movement Tuesdays. We haven't been live, Mama Fiyah, for maybe we just were talking about that about
3 weeks.
3 weeks now. So
Yeah.
a lot of things have occurred, lots to talk about, and we really respect and appreciate you all tuning in and joining us, because there's so many things happening in here in New Orleans, but throughout the globe. We got folks listening all over the world now, thanks to the World Wide Web, and so you can catch us on www.wbok1230am.com, the what is it, the Facebook Live, the True Love Movement page, the 12:30 a.m. on your radio dial, and the Google Play and app, the App Store. There's a WBOK app in there. You can download that app and catch us there on the phone if you need to do it that way. But however you do it, we're grateful and glad that you're here. We know that this is, for many folks, commute time. You know, Mama Fiyah, people are trying to get home from work and school and picking up children, and so you know, we're honored, and we would invite you to invite folks that you respect to tune in and join us for this ride today on this October 1st, 2019. 2 months left in the year, or 3 months rather left in the year, Mama Fiyah.
I know, isn't it a trip, Brother Shaq? I mean, it seems like 2019 just went fast, but I guess every year really has gone very fast, and is rounding the bend right now into 2020. And you know, every time I say 2020, I think about the vision. You know, 2020 vision.
Yeah.
That's perfect vision.
Perfect vision.
Perfect vision using your eyes, and then including your third eye. Let's go.
That's right. All eyes. All eyes.
All eyes on me. Real lives.
Real lives.
Let's go.
Right on.
So yeah, you know, I've been thinking about the end of 2019 and how 2020 is going to be, and then 2021, you know, numerology on that, and all these different things as well. So yeah, it's exciting to think about what the future holds.
That's right. We know in the present and being present, the present has been intensely busy.
Yes.
On so many levels. You know, for us at True Love Movement, and we're sure for you too, family, based on many of the things that we're hearing from folk that we see, it ain't slowing down for nobody. And there's a lot of cosmic energy out there, Mama Fiyah. You talk about, you know, frequently.
So much.
You know.
Yeah, you can feel it and see it, and all the things that are happening. It's like as above, so below. You know, the micro and the macro. We can see things right here on this realm, and how things are in the same way as up in the heavens.
That's right.
So just, you know, like we talk about on Sunday, which we haven't talked about yet on live on True Love Movement Tuesdays, but on Sunday, you know, one of the hashtags is Shine Your Light.
That's right.
For our Free to Speak open mic. That happens every Sunday now.
Every Sunday.
Over at the Neo Jazz School of Music, which is located on 1683 North Claiborne Avenue.
That's right.
We got through our second collaboration. It's a collaboration between True Love Movement and Neo Jazz School of Music.
Right.
On bringing a quote-unquote open mic to Sundays, but also like it's so different.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's not your average open mic, and in an effort to describe what it is, we just call it Free to Speak.
Free to Speak. Yeah, there's so much going on, so much more going on than your conventional or traditional open mic, Mama Fiyah.
I love it. Yeah, I love the idea of it.
And that was your idea, you know, just so folk know that, you know, for a long time we've been talking about an open mic and doing an open mic, you know, like on a Sunday. You know, for so many years, Liberation Lounge was the place, you know, to really get free, and that's been gone for some time, and so it's left a void.
Well, surely left a void for me. I needed to get that void filled as soon as I could.
Right. And so that's how we do, family. If you need something, you create it. And so, you know, in collaboration with Neo Jazz School of Music, we're bringing Free to Speak, and it's not your typical or your average open mic.
That's right. That's right.
A a lot of jewels get dropped in that place, man, and it feels so good.
Yeah, and there's also a chance to talk about your business. If you have a black business, or if you have a business, you want people to support your movement. You want people to just hear what's on your mind.
Right.
You just want to, speak about what you love or what you don't like, or solutions to issues that are people. It's that kind of space.
Right.
It's that kind of space, and I'm just inviting everybody that is interested to come on through. Check it out for yourself. It's growing. It's starting off organically. We're not pushing it or making anything happen. We're just doing it organically and see, can we build a group of people who likes to express themselves this way and also likes to listen to people express themselves this way. Listen and support, yeah. So, Sunday nights, and look, we in there at 6 and we end right at 9.
Yes.
And we're gonna do that. That's gonna be part of what we do. We're gonna start right at 6, no matter who's in there, and we're gonna leave. We're gonna shut it down right at 9 o'clock. It's Sunday night. People might have something to do to get ready for the week, or even if not, it's good to be consistent.
Right.
And run that thing. We get that from our brothers and sisters at the mosque.
That's right. NOI, Nation of Islam.
The Nation of Islam.
Starts
our
on
brothers
time.
and sisters at the mosque, let me tell you, it ends right when it's supposed to.
That's right.
And I appreciate being on time for stuff, you know? Yeah.
Yeah, and shout out to Tracy Elizabeth, who has joined us via Facebook Live, as well as our sister Shantice Denise.
Greetings, my sisters, all the time.
Right
Yes,
on.
yes. Y'all go ahead and share the show so that we can get people on. I think this is a very special show.
Definitely.
Plus, we have a very special guest.
We do, and our guest looks like she's up.
Yeah, she woke up. So, y'all, if I need to step out a moment, please understand. But I'm just going to kind of keep it like this, if possible.
Mama Fiyah duty, family.
Yeah.
And appreciate you for doing all of that.
Definitely. I think we have to be willing to help our young people, and her parents are working, and I understand that. I'm also working, but I'm more flexible with my body space and with my time. And I'm thankful to all my sisters. When I see my sisters and I have to be taking care of Iyami at the same time, my sisters are so sweet about it. Nobody's like, well, you've got that baby and now we can't, whatever.
Right.
This is what the village looks like when we're building a black nation, when we're building a healthy black nation. This is what it looks like. We have to, go beyond the standard what we've been given.
That's
what I'm saying? We've been given that the baby stays at home or the baby's in daycare and mama or grandma or godmother or whoever is at work,
Right.
But we got to be able to open up our hearts to be flexible when the babies are when care is needed for babies.
That's
If she can't be with her mama and she can't be with her daddy, this is probably the next best place for her to be. So we're gonna go with it, family. We gotta ease our way out of the box.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right. And I think that's a great segue too, Mama Fiyah, for getting into today's topic about being in the box or in getting out of the box. People talk about that all the time. That whole idea about the proverbial box. And I was thinking too this morning. One of the things I woke up with too. We talked earlier, but I was thinking how that term everyday life. Everyday life. Whenever folk say that, I don't use that, but I've heard it.
Yeah, definitely. I've definitely heard it.
Talk, everyday life, and it's like everyday life may mean different things to different people, but it's usually said like everybody thinks about it and understands everyday life the same way.
Right.
And in everyday life, it just really depends. It's so relative, but it suggests that there's some sort of mundane thing happening, not very significant.
But it's so significant. It's every day.
It's every day. So that's an aside. As long as we're talking about like the box and those kind of things. But before we do get all the way in, last night we were talking, and it just so happened that it was a Facebook memory that showed up early part September, maybe September 13th, I want to say 2017. We sat right here with our brother Charles Corporal for his show, What's Your Revolution? And we're along with Rachel Graham, who produced the show. Shout out to both of them. You know, that's longtime WBOK family, but he had a show concept, and I remember, you know, in passing, he had said, you know, I'd like to invite y'all to, you know, come on my show. And when we did that, you know, he wanted to talk about something that he recognized as a pretty important subject or a pretty important topic with our people, because it had to do with, you know, lifestyles and social constructs, and also something that he, if I recall correctly, he was saying he had some personal experience with, and even recently during that particular time, so it was fresh for him. And but he also knew, like we know, that when we have these personal type experiences, we're not having them in a vacuum of just us. That it's something that's happening cosmically with our people. You know, our folk are always in some kind of transition. But on What's Your Revolution, the September 13th, I want to say, 2017 show, it was titled and I'm paraphrasing, but I want to say it was about monogamy, 1 versus 100, you know, or in something to the degree is monogamy the best choice to achieve or experience your healthiest self. And like I said, it popped up on the True Love Movement Memories earlier in the month. This is back from 2017, so the show's, you know, 2 years old exactly. And it caught my eye, and I had actually sat there and we hadn't talked about it, remember? We hadn't even talked about it. And it caught my eye. And so I had it sitting there trying to, because I wanted to raise the volume on it, because the volume was a little bit low. And I was able to get it, work with a little bit, raise up the volume. And then, you know, we put it on YouTube just last night. It's a really great show, family. If you haven't seen it, we'd say go to the True Love Movement Hour. Yeah, True Love Movement Hour YouTube channel, and then you can check it out. But it's that particular show hosted by Charles Corporal, and he's interviewing Mama Fiyah and myself here in the studio about that question about 1 versus 100. Is monogamy the best choice for you know, for our people to achieve their highest, or the best version of themselves, I want to say, is how it was framed up. And really, really great show. Shout out Sister Tamara Prosper there. She's such a sweet baby. See, we got a show stealer.
Yeah, she steals the show. Even at the office, she steals the show. Yummy, yummy, yummy.
And did you have anything you wanted to add, Mama Fiyah? I know you were on duty.
Yeah.
Just around the clock.
I mean, it was a good show. It was a good show. What I like about True Love Movement is that we just tell the truth.
Right.
You know, we tell the truth in a respectful and private way, but you know, we're not pretending to be something that we aren't. We're not pretending to start off the way we needed to. You know, we just start off thinking about the audience and what the audience is going to think.
Right.
Telling our genuine and authentic stories are healing.
That's
for
right.
people. It gives everyone permission to walk in their own truth as well. Walk and talk in their truth.
That's right.
Our little one is not feeling 100% today, so please forgive a little coughing, or I might have to step off the mic for a little while, hoping she was asleep. But so just to let our listeners know, we have a 2-hour show, so we're gonna take it in stride.
That's right. That's right. That's right, family. This is live radio. So,
yep, WBOK 1230 AM.
That's right.
Real Talk for Real Times. We're so happy to be on this show.
That's right.
So happy to be here live on True Love Movement Tuesdays.
It don't get no realer than when you got the baby in the studio on the air, crying and coughing and having a bottle and having a whole baby experience. It's a beautiful reminder of the different stages of life.
Yeah.
You know, definitely. I hate that she's not feeling well.
Yeah, she was feeling okay yesterday, so we just gonna give her some love.
That makes it a little bit, but let her know everyone is saying on the Facebook Live, you know, they're saying, oh, you know, they,
Feel better, little
she's
girl.
such a sweet baby, Tamara Prosper is saying, and she is, you know, she most certainly is. And so, yeah, as Mama Fiyah tends to, right quick, just wanted to orient you to that particular show, because that show, this show is not that show, but that show just kind of enhanced our inspiration for this tonight's show, where we're going to be looking at the topic for today's show is, it's a relationship show. Throughout the years, and this is our 6th year here on WBOK, but throughout the years, very, very sporadically, we have done relationship shows. And the very first one that we did, maybe back in 2013, was a show, I think it was Relationships 101, and we really focused on the foundational part of our relationships, which is the relationship that we have with ourselves. And so, very, very good show. It's been archived and it can easily be re-released, but that was the first one that we did. And then some months later, we had, I think on that show, we shout out to Mama Nana Anawa. I want to say she was actually a part of that show. We brought in an elder mama in the community to talk about the necessity of grounding yourself first before you try to get around some other people to develop and cultivate relationships. And she reinforced that message in a multi-generational way. And then we had the next one, which was the relationships with 201, the relationship with your family, you know, family members and other people that you were connected to. We had that one, and then, you know, building off of the self-love foundation. And then so after that, we jumped to the one that folk really were interested in. 301 was, you know, intimate partner relationships and the whole science behind that, and cultivating healthy relationships, building off of the self-love relationship model, and then expanding that to include other folk. And, you know, of course, having those closest to us in our immediate family and extended family, and then, you know, intimate partner sort of relationships. So that's been the gamut so far, the relationship shows. And as Mama Fiyah always says when she talks about those relationship shows of the past, that they're really, really well listened to and shared and those kinds of things, because I think people are interested in how we view the various kinds of relationships, because our work, True Love Movement's work, is so relational. Everything that we do is really it's based on, you know, maintaining the relationship, because we're relational people. Usually and generally, that relationship is always rooted in the one that we have with ourselves, because that sets the standard for all the other relationships that we will cultivate and develop. And so, in the same vein, tonight's show, we're looking at some of the progression that happens inside of relationships, where we're going to look at the art of letting go. So again, the topic for this October 1st, 2019, here on True Love Movement Tuesdays on WBOK 1230 AM, Real Talk for Real Times. True Love Movement Tuesdays, again, we're bringing you the art of letting go. And so we're going to dig in to that, because you know, relationships don't necessarily last forever. And when it does get to the point where it is obvious that the relationship has ended, or at least the relationship in its current form has ended, because we think too that relationships can be reshaped. There are some transitional things that need to happen, and we're going to take a look at some of those as we integrate that into the Relationships 101 show, where we did the base model. Family, if you heard that live on the air, Lily Yame's, you know, she was out for a little while in the outside of the booth, making a little bit of noise, and then she came back in and made some more noise, breaking wind on the air live, and that may be the first time that that's happened on True Love Movement Tuesdays.
Right, because we usually don't do that type of
Because usually,
thing.
if we
Let's
break
not
any
do
wind
it.
at all, it's it's really really quiet, and you all don't know it. But that's what live radio do with babies. Babies
That's
don't
what
care
babies
about none
do.
of that. No decorum, as they say. No decorum. But that might have been the source of some of the agitation out there. So I'm glad she got that out.
Yeah.
Glad she got that out. But yeah, Mama Fiyah, I had I'm not sure if you could hear out there in the booth, but
I couldn't hear, Brother Shaq, but I know you was holding it up.
I was I was in here setting us up for the topic. Today's topic again is the art of letting go. I had provided the backdrop, family, if you're just tuning in to this True Love Movement Tuesdays on October 1st, 2019, live back in the studio after about 3 weeks off. We talked about the relationship shows and the progression of those, with the very first one dealing with the self-love aspect, and we had Mama Nana Anawai in here for that one, if you remember.
Oh, that was so great.
Wonderful show, way back in the day.
Yeah, we need to put that on YouTube, Brother Shaq.
Yeah,
Sure,
we're gonna definitely locate it in the
'Cause that
archives.
was
I know we have it.
2013.
13.
Wow.
Yeah, it was 2013, and then the next one was the one we dealt with families, and then the third one was the intimate partner relationships. And I said, so now we're
what is it? A give and receive flow.
Yeah, the give and receive flow,
Yeah,
which
that's
is
a good show.
a very popular show that is even used as a tool. You know, we use that one as a tool. We do a lot of work, family, with couples, and the equity inside of relationships is always a challenge for most couples. Not for lack of intention, but just the skill to do that is not something that we get acquainted with very early. So the give and receive flow show, the relationship 301, powerful show. And that's in the archives, actually, on the Facebook, the True Love Movement Facebook page already. So if you want to look through some videos or some other videos that may interest you, when you like the True Love Movement page on Facebook, check out the video archives. There's about maybe 3 or 4 years worth of shows that are just right there, and then there's an additional shows that's on the True Love Movement, our YouTube channel, just to check it out, to understand where True Love Movement has been, and that we're not, just jumping out here trying to give anybody advice, but rather we're just facilitating a conversation through our own experiences as well as our work and professional experience.
Definitely, and living it.
And
the
living it
experience
in real time.
Yeah, living it as well. I think 99.999% of the sisters that I see are holding on to something that they can't let go. And what we talked about too on Sunday was the capacity. Like we don't have a limitless capacity.
Right.
Being people who live in the belly of the beast, we don't have a limitless capacity. If we lived in Wakanda, maybe, what I'm saying? But that's fantasy. In reality, we live in America KK.
That's right.
And our capacity is already full because we're taking with us generations of being full at full capacity.
Already.
And then adding, the stress of everyday life, the stress of capital, the system of capitalism,
right.
The stress of the economic system, the stress of the education system, the stress of, having to dodge the popo and having to dodge the light bill and a water bill.
Utilities, housing.
And talking about the stress of relationships.
On top of that.
Stress of family, having to take care of children, poverty, oppression. We are beyond capacity.
Definitely.
And something has to be released.
Right.
Something has to be let go. When we think of let go, we think of release.
Right.
Releasing something. And also we can think of it as loss.
Yes.
Too. Like losing something or letting it go intentionally and voluntarily letting something go. There's still a process of loss that have to go along with that. And I think that's what we're afraid of.
Right.
We don't want to lose anything. We don't want to change anything. We don't want to transition from something. We just want to keep it just how it is,
Right.
And there's nothing as constant but change. So
That's right.
nothing as constant as change. So yeah.
And we've lost so much collectively as a
That's
people.
right. That's right.
You know, I mean, I want to acknowledge too that a lot of our willingness to cling to whatever we can cling to is the ancestral memory of loss, the current memory of loss. That we know a lot of loss and a lot of lack, and so much of the time, our whole agenda, life's mission, is to find something and someone that we can hold on to, and that hopes that they will hold on to us too, and we will be able to hold on to each other through this turbulent experience that you just laid out so beautifully with regard to all of these different systems that are feet of oppression on our people, on our normative, everyday survival experience here in America. Is that right, Iyami?
Yeah, she's listening.
Good.
She's listening. She's getting it through osmosis. But you know, I have a something that I use with my sisters, a formula on letting go. I call it the art of letting go, and that letting go may not be one distinct moment, but it may be a series of moments. You know, a series of, because what happens is we say, give it to God, you know,
Right.
we give it to God, and here it comes right back into our head again. You know, it's not that easy just to let something go.
Right.
There's a process, and it definitely has to do with the very fabric of life, which is breath, which is breathing through the process and breathing through the pain, or breathing through the feeling, and breathing, you know, in what you need and out what it, you know, breathing, exhaling what you don't need.
Right.
So yeah, that's definitely, you know, that's definitely part of it.
And I guess there's a lot of fear that's built into, you know, what's that other idiom that they say, and it's tough, but they say something about the devil you know as opposed to the devil you don't know, which is horrible, because
like,
why would you want to have
what?
anything to do with any kind of devil?
Yeah.
But it just goes to show you how our people have accepted that there's going to be a devil in this thing. And so then if there's got to be a devil, then there's been some negotiation that, well, I'll select the devil that I'm familiar with, because I'm familiar with it, which tells you the state that this thing has really forced us into that kind of submission. But there is some fear of the unknown, and the fear of what happens when you let go. Because letting go looks different than holding on. You know.
Definitely. You know, we get all these messages, and here I go. You know, we get all these messages from our families. We get all these messages from media.
Yes.
We get all these messages from people that we think are in healthy relationships, and saying you just gotta hold on. You just can't give up, and you just. But whose ideas are those?
That's right.
And I just really want to know. You know, I just really want to know. It is important. It's important to hold on to Black love. I understand why. I understand it's important. But when do we let go? You know, somebody said, well, when it's abusive.
Right.
You know, I was reading something, and people would say, well, you gotta hold on to your love, and unless you're being, physically abused, then you definitely have to let that go. You know, or you know, what if two people grow apart?
Right.
Or what if one or both of them want to experience something they have never experienced before?
Right.
You know, we're talking about growing. You know, I don't know, Brother Shaq. I really struggle with it.
Well, I think you're like, and me, I struggle with it. And I think we represent regular people who were born and raised in America, who are socialized into the American ways of being, and for Black people, it's always been notoriously dysfunctional, because our way of being has was developed and cultivated in response to the tyranny and oppression within and without the system of racism. So we don't really know who we are in a singular way, healthy. Therefore, we definitely don't know who we are as a collective. We just don't know who we are healthy. And because of that, we have looked to our oppressors, who are essentially, our teachers, who teach us about relationships, how to have relationships and be in relationships through their example. And so I think we've been operating at a deficit for a very, very long time, but since it's been the height of achievement, we haven't had any other analysis on it. We just resigned to doing, what's been done and what's normal. When you think about where we learn about relationships from, one of the things that I remember growing up is that, first of all, you have very big aspirations to quote unquote get someone. You need to focus on getting someone to be in a relationship with. That's the chief thing to do, because you don't want to be lonely. You want company, you want companionship. We're very social people, and so it feels, for many folk would say awkward or strange to be alone. Or just, and then the notion of being alone is equated with being lonely. And lonely says that there's a deficit. So then there's that drive and incentive to say, I need to be with someone. That being with someone is going to cure my loneliness. And so, everything that you were asking, Mama Fiyah, about where do we get that from? I know as of late, maybe really this last year, I've been listening to old R&B like I always have, and I really like to, always used to be what people who are listening know about. Remember Mellow Moods we used to have, and the Quiet Storm and all that kind of stuff, back in the day, and that good slow R&B, they call them love songs. And so maybe over the course of this year, I've really been listening to a lot of the love songs that I've loved, all for decades. But I'm listening to them now with a different ear, a little more of a critical ear. And what I'm finding is that a lot of what was said that is good, because there's usually a lot of comparison between the music back in the day and the subject matter of what's happening today. You know what I'm saying? As though, back in the days we were saying different kinds of things, and now today what they're saying is trash. But when I listen to a lot of these old records, these old songs, they're still saying things about essentially creating, codependent relationships. They're saying things about control and possession, like, you belong to me, and all these kinds of things in a very sweet way, but still not so empowering for individual people. And much of it really does operate from the deficit. I need you. So when you need someone, you have a particular need, and we know there are these basic needs, but when you've got more expansive needs, that puts you in a situation where you have to work very diligently to satisfy your needs. And then you realize that it's other folks' responsibility to satisfy your needs. And then it also then obligates you to satisfy their needs. And so much of what's out there takes you all the way away from yourself, getting to know yourself, getting to know your own agency, what your capacity is, and really puts you on the lookout or the hunt or the chase to find someone to meet those needs for you, and that's normative. And the music will be a soundtrack for you, and it will say that same message again and again and again and again and again, and it tickles your ear. It sounds good. It's and it's not sinister at all. But even the notion of the whole falling in love concept, people want to fall in love. There's so many songs about falling in love, And when you think about it from a physics standpoint, a fall simply just means you're off balance. A fall happens when something is not in balance. So if the mission is to fall in love, that's saying that you're giving up some responsibility, or you're submitting, or you're doing something, but that you're not in full control and of yourself. And that's a good fleeting feeling. And the only thing that I can think about on a psychic level that would cause that to be appealing is that time in the womb and right out of the womb, when we really, really need to be cared for in ways that we cannot do for ourselves, that there's something happens that may not be as sufficient, because this drive to fall and know that someone else is going to take care of us is a huge motif. It's a normative one, but that's pretty much what the songs, even the good songs from back in the day, was about. Or they were about, you're mine, so you're my possession, and and I'm going to tell you what you want. I'm not asking you, kind of a thing, and you should be grateful that I'm doing it, kind of. So there's, and I'm not trying to put it all on the songs and say the songs are bad, because I don't want y'all saying, Brother Shaq, I can't even listen to the old R&B the same. But frankly, I can't listen to it the same, because I'm listening to what's really being said, and as innocent as it sounded, it's heavily coded. It's heavily coded with expectations, and so
it's heavily coded with fantasy.
With fantasy, yeah, it's in the fantasy for a particular reason, because there's a sense that things should be a certain way. So we're back to that, Mama Fiyah, as you were saying before you exited. Where does that come from? Where does the notion of fantasy, the notion of these particular expectations or scenarios, where is that first birthed?
Yeah.
What you say?
I mean, I think we're start off socialized. I feel like I was socialized into finding this love, steadily looking for this love that was gonna somehow complete me.
Right.
And to the point where my whole life was spent from one relationship to the next.
Yes. One
relationship to the next relationship without any change. That old adage, to get over a man, you get under a man. To get
over a man, you get under a man.
And the thing about it is, it sounds laughable. Sure. But really, it's the surefire way. It's right. The surefire way, and so many women are doing it and don't even realize their patterns. Mm-hmm. And so my personal pattern has been from one man to the next, to the point where I can't even remember being alone.
Right.
I can't even remember having some time to just be alone, to take care of myself, and to, put my dreams on the front burner, put myself on the front burner.
Right.
I've always been taking care of somebody. Right. I'm an excellent caretaker.
Look at you, huh?
Yeah. I mean, I'm an excellent caretaker when it comes to little people, but also when it comes to big people, Brother Shay.
That's right.
I mean, I'm an excellent caretaker and don't mind. It comes naturally to me. Mm-hmm. But before I know it, I'm all the way on the 13th burner.
Right. That part.
That part of it, And I would like people just to identify what your patterns are.
Right.
Go back and look at your first relationship, and then look at every relationship from there. You can see your patterns as clear as day. Mm-hmm. Nobody's looking for your patterns. You have to look for your own. You have to find your own pattern. Only you know.
Right.
The truth of the matter of how things got the way they are now. And I think a personal mission, people think a personal mission in life is to find somebody to love and get married.
Right.
That's what you're supposed to do. That's in the box. That's what you're supposed to do. And truly, I think we should be experiencing ourselves and finding out who we are. And, the gravy or the icing on the cake is love.
It's the additional.
It's the romantic
love.
Intimate kind of love.
Right.
But I mean, at 45 years old, this is where I've come to. This is, after all the work that I've done, and there's more work to go, I'm just saying, after all the work that I've done, I've gotten here, outside of the box. So what do you do outside of the box? People talk about one box. If you go outside of the box, you're in another one, and you're in another one, and another one. But, I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, perhaps there ain't no neatly fitting into boxes, but maybe we could if we accept that there is the box, and the box is just emblematic of the construct that somebody has seen from a social construct that they've decided, not with our permission, certainly not with our permission nor inquiry, that this is the way and the right way to do things, and the thing that we aspire to do, that we can expand, we can get expansion, we can expand the walls or the size of the box to grow. I mean, that's what relationships are, whether we're talking about the personal relationship we have with ourselves or the ones we have with other people, including family and also intimate partners. Relationships are containers for growth. I mean, this is really where the growth happens. There's a lot of incubation that goes on inside of relationships. And you mentioned something earlier, right before you had to step out, about, folk growing, growing apart. That all things are not a result of violence or any kind of abuse or that kind of a thing.
That's right.
And that the idea that folks literally grow apart seems like something to be dismissed, but inside of a relationship, it's, I can tell you, personally, as you were just describing, at 45 years of age, inside of a relationship, and a long relationship, and a seemingly healthy relationship, a person can be lost singularly in that relationship.
Yes.
You can definitely lose your own individuality and your own identity when you mesh and blend with someone, but that doesn't excuse you from the necessity of growth. That your spirit will remind you that you're here doing something, that you are in a situation where you should be growing, because growth is natural. Everything grows until it dies, and then it dies. When it no longer grows, it just dies. When we think about it just that simply.
Yeah. Wow. So we need to be forever growing.
Forever growing. Forever growing. And the calls are growing. I didn't give out the call-in number, but let me do that now. As we've laid out today's show, The Art of Letting Go, this October 1st, 2019, here on True Love Movement Tuesdays on WBOK 1230 and Real Talk for Real Times. The call-in number is 504-260-9265. Again, that call-in number is 504-260-9265, and we have the lines lit up. Thank you for calling, Hope. Thank you for calling. What's happening?
How you doing?
All right, what's happening?
How you doing?
Good. Look, I tuned in as you were talking about the music, but then as I listened further, you went way beyond just the music. So
yeah,
I hate to regress. You know what I mean?
No, there's no
where you
regress.
are now. But I just wanted to say that even with music, before you were conscious, or any of us were conscious about words. I think in the spirit already digest that. You know what I mean?
Right.
And internally that's soaked in what the words really meant. And so that comes from an emotional stage as well. Seeing your parents or loved ones who would, act lovingly towards one another when music is playing. It's like an emotional thing as well. You know what I mean?
Definitely.
And so your spirit already conducted what the words were saying, but then you became conscious of what they were really saying, and then you, as you already alluded to, you explored the words and what they really meant.
That's right.
But I just wanted to just reiterate what you already said, and as I said, I like the way you're going now with the subject, and I'm going to just keep on listening.
Well, brother, listen, we appreciate you, listening, and then thinking about that, formulating that, and calling to share that with us, because, hey, man, sometimes it could just be us feeling like we just out here with this. A lot of stuff we seem though we're a little bit further out. Not that we try to be, we just kind of look at things a little bit different, and maybe we're all alone. So it's good to know we're not all alone, man. Thank you for that.
No, you're not. You're definitely not. And it's being received, from it.
Right on, man. We appreciate you, bro. Thank you.
Thank you, brother.
And then the lines are still lit up. Thank you for holding, caller. What's happening?
Whoa.
Hello, you there?
Yeah, I'm here. You hear me?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. So I guess to bring it back to today's topic.
Uh-huh.
With you and Mama Fiyah talking about the art of letting go.
Yes.
I find myself, and this, let me try to get my nerves together. But I find myself in the same position, right?
Uh-huh.
Being able to let go. I'm hopefully with this new season that could change, because like that's key. Like I know from this personally, like if you could, and I'm gonna say it like this, coming from a business perspective, it's more about like cutting your losses.
Okay.
So if you have, because life is full of decisions. So if you could cut your losses on a bad decision, you gonna always make better decisions. You know, it's just about minimizing that, and that could, I'm just saying that go across the board. Everything is universal, right?
Right.
So in relationships, you know, and dealings, man, you right on. I'm just like, I had to call in because I'm like this on time, especially with the season changing, everything changing right now.
Right. It is changing.
Everything is transforming. Like I mean, I like to say from transhumanism to transgenderism.
Okay.
You know, and they have a movement for that, like you say, 2020, the vision thing. You know, going into this new way of everything.
Right, new way of being.
So I'm you know, my biggest thing too, and I'm being transparent too, just settling down in the moment. You know, but it's different for us being a people of color, being black people.
Okay.
Because if, like you say, society, just regular social constructs try to make you determine your outlook on life. You know, we tell you how to live. You know, like you say, as far as relationships and all the different forms of media that they use to reinforce the message.
Right.
And for being a people of color too. I mean, if that's just regular, like ours would turn it up 1,000%.
That's right.
Right.
You know, so, and it's hard for a conscious brother. I mean, I know y'all understand, because I try to talk to some other eagles, and we say, like, how can you remain being an eagle when you still have to live amongst the buzzards in the regular blackbird?
That's interesting right there, too. Even that, you know, is part of a social construct with regard to, you know, this hierarchical thing that we think is really there, because it brings into account some sort of a policy that goes with the hierarchy, that if you are at this particular level, you should behave this way. You know, to look at the things that actually inform our behavior is still rooted in the social construct, so that even when we think that we are making our own decision, what we miss is that somebody set up the options for us, not us. We're just picked the option, but since whoever set them up, they win either way, because whatever we pick, they're the ones that have offered the options.
I totally agree with you.
So it's really insidious.
From a business perspective, like it could be, you know, corporations, they own, you know, it's a parent company that owns a different company,
right?
Multiple companies. So when you created with the choice of a McDonald's or a Burger King, you know, the illusion of choice.
Right.
Like,
that's exactly what it is. Illusion.
Right. I'm still gonna benefit from you buying here, but I make you think that you have a choice.
Right. That's right. Well, you know, when you talk about the, you know, kind of correlating this to inside the business world of the capitalist system, or in economics, you think about the adversarial nature, the presumptive adversarial nature of business, that business is warfare, that even inside of the language of it, when you are doing what you're doing, you're managing against loss. You're managing against the customer. You're evaluating your success based upon your ability to subdue who you view to be your competition, which says that there's a subconscious backdrop of scarcity, which then helps folks be even more inclined to go outside of themselves to try to get more, because you feel as though somebody else is after the same thing, so you gotta have it. And if you have a people that is perpetually disenfranchised, then they're on the lookout for, I gotta acquire some things. They're not so much focused on developing themselves or anything else, but they're focused on acquisitions. And we know anything that you acquire, you can lose. So the things you develop, you keep, but acquisitions can come and go. So it distances us, I think, from our true selves and causes us to run inside of a facade in such a way that it makes us complicit in keeping the arrangement going.
Right.
Perhaps.
So that's what I'm saying. Like even with the transfer, like I'm hopeful that, and that's why I'm listening to. I mean, love is the key, right? True
Yes.
love movement, like
Yeah.
it's that love that's gonna bring us back to, like you say, your original self. Because if I'm doing anything other than that, you still falling into this system. You know.
That's right.
You got to be careful we're not loving in the system.
Right.
You know, because the system will tell us, we got to be careful about what the system tells us about love.
Right.
You know, the system tells us either love is everything or love is nothing. You know? And I'm talking about the romantic, intimate part of love. I was never told that I could love myself, brother.
Right.
I was never told that as a child that I should do that. I guess because it seems innate. It seems like you know self-preservation or self-protection is self-love, but it's a component, but it's not everything.
Right.
And going through everything that I went through in my lifetime, and I always use that as an orientation to, you know, where I'm going with a point though. But going through everything that I've gone through in my lifetime, you know, I was never told, even though I was displaying, I had very low self-esteem, very low confidence, making very dangerous decisions. Nobody ever told me that I needed to stop and love myself.
That's right.
And this is what I tell young people. I see a lot of young people around the age of 28 and a little bit older, a little bit younger. Between the ages of 21 and 28, what were you doing? Between the ages of 21 and 28, I would love to ask, as a social scientist, what people were doing. And because I believe between 21 and 28, you should be finding who you are and loving that person.
Right.
You should be, you're up under your parents' rule, right? You're finished with school. I mean, some people are still in you know, master's programs or graduate school or whatever the case may be, but you have become an adult. You know, technically an adult.
Right. Just to chime back with you, you know, that's why I called him, because again, you initially said it was about the relationships you couldn't cut off. Well, like when you're talking about the 97% of the females that you know that's not cutting off relationships, but even as a male, I resonate with that. And you look at it to say, like, is this relationship, like you said, it's never been a time that you're apart. And Big Brother, it's the same thing. Like, you know, we can't say it's for the female and not for the male.
Well, I never said that.
When we look at really this concept of sexual transmutation, you know, and how you can harness your sexual energy to create into the universe and create things.
Definitely.
But if we in constant relationship between them ages of 21 and 28, when we have the most sexual energy to transmutate, you know, we wasting it. So I'm totally in agreement with that. Like that's but we can't draw the line and say, like, you know, it's just the females that, you know, like you say, you've never been alone.
Well, that was never said though. That it was just female.
Right.
Or just
It
women.
was me who said that.
Right.
And I guess we have an idea that it's women who fall in love and it's men who, I mean, I don't know. Do we have that view that it's women who actually go through all the drama and go through all the little problems in relationships and men don't?
No, and I might have said it the other way too. No, but I think.
But I hear you saying that it is both of us.
Men do, but I don't think the female express it either. Like, but we, you know, men are more. We're not more expressive of it. You know, we just
That's
deal.
right. That's true. That's true. Because a lot of men haven't been taught that they can
verbalize.
They can verbalize, but they can been taught that they can emote, that they can even show their feelings. They haven't been taught that. You know, and we got a lot of learning to do, and that's what's supposed to happen between 21 and 28. We're supposed to be learning about ourselves fully in this world, fully in this universe, fully on this planet before we start linking up with people to form a commitment or anything like that. But we do the opposite. I mean, we do the opposite because we're driven by this idea that you're supposed to be finding your soulmate, you're supposed to be finding a person. You know, we're driven by that.
Right. And that's kind of where we were going with it, Brian. And we would love for you to stay with
tuned.
us. Stay tuned.
In. Thank you.
And we appreciate you contributing that. And shout out to the brothers who are calling to talk about this, Mama Fiyah. I noticed we had 2 brothers so far.
Brothers, come on, brothers.
Y'all keep doing what y'all doing, bro.
Right on. Right on. That reinforces that black men are in fact very much so reaching for.
Yes.
You know, the emotional aspect. And we're talking about letting go, but we're going to be talking about letting you go for a short time for this quick break, and then we're going to come on back on the other side of the break and get back into the art of letting go on True Love Movement Tuesdays this October 1st, 2019, here in New Orleans on WBOK 1230m.com. Real talk for real times, family. We'll see you in a few. All right. Facebook Live, fam. Dropping them jewels, yeah.
I'm not trying to get Yami up. She don't feel so high.
Finally got her down.
She needs to sleep.
Yeah.
In my arms, kind of thing. And so I wanna read this really good comment from Shantice Denise, my sister, who is so beautiful, and always chiming in. She's actually considered a top fan.
That's
I love
right.
it, Shantice. Thank you.
Gratitude.
Shantice says, it's interesting as through my solitude and just by feeling alone and lonely are not the same things. It can feel that way, but only in my experience with the addition of another emotion, sadness. That is the real emotion to pay attention to. Good. I think sadness is the part that makes somebody who's alone feel lonely. I tell my sisters all the time, if you cannot spend time alone, that's a big indicator that something's off. If you can't spend any time alone, as soon as you're alone, you're trying to find, sorry, I'm trying to turn this down. As soon as you're alone, you're trying to find somebody to be with. And if it ain't a lover, it's a friend. And if it ain't a friend, it's a family member. If it ain't a family, you cannot be alone. There's an issue with that. You know, you're always, connected to somebody via text or email or whatever the case may be. Spend time alone. It's healthy. It's healthy to be alone. And I'm speaking from experience. I'm speaking from experience. And all of my experiences have culminated, I'm trying to turn it down. All of my experiences have culminated into where I am now. Making changes and making transitions in the love relationship that I'm in now. And so, we have to, when we take different roads in our lives, eventually we're going to have to look at them and stop, look at them and make a change to take a different road up to the highest road. And if we don't do that, we can get stuck very easily in relationships that, that are putting the cart before the horse. Come on, man. Go back to sleep.
So yeah, shout out to Shantice Denise for that. And I wanted to
She's talking about the difference between alone and lonely, being the emotion of sadness. It's the difference. And I was talking to my sisters about spending time alone. If we can't be alone, then we know that something is there's something missing there. There's something to be. Something's out of balance.
Right.
So.
Yeah, I appreciate you adding that in there. And both callers really, glad that they raised those thoughts, because it also says that people are contemplating, and that could be informing their behavior, contemplation, but it may not be fully formed yet. And
Andy Rispone is a businessman, an outsider, and a pro-Trump conservative. No, he's not slick, typical, or smooth talking, but after so many broken promises from so many of your politicians, it's time for something different. Andy Rispone for governor.
Paid for
And
by Andy
perhaps,
Rispone for governor.
you know,
This
some
is
of
Senator
these
Karen Carter
things we're
Peterson.
working at.
You know me, born and raised right here in New Orleans. I know our neighborhoods and our city. That's why I've been a champion
I
for
think we
you.
can do something.
When the critics said that we couldn't expand health care, I, along with Governor Edwards, took on the insurance lobby. Today,
I think we can do
450,000
something
people now have health
we can
insurance.
share
When the state was shortchanging New
without,
Orleans taxpayers, Mayor Cantrell and I fought to get our fair share
you know,
of revenues so we
a
can
whole lot of
start
specifics.
fixing our roads, drainage, and broken infrastructure. When it was time to fully fund early childhood education, higher education, and give our teachers
and
a
kind of
much-deserved
relieved
pay
things.
raise, I was
Oh,
there.
good, yeah.
But the struggle is far from
You said
over.
I.
We must do more.
Right.
We must
Yeah.
keep pushing. I will continue to champion our causes because
Thank
we
y'all.
are
Thank
all
y'all
in
for
this
still
together.
staying tuned.
Again,
Oh yeah, I
this
think
is
we're coming
Senator
back
Carter
shortly,
Peterson.
family.
Yeah.
And please again, share this show, set up a watch party. If you're just now tuning in, we certainly want to hear from you. And we'll invite you to watch the episode in its entirety. And still contribute to the thread to chime in, because the comments part of it won't go away even after the show goes off. But yeah, we really do appreciate y'all, family. So we got a +1 today.
Here in this district and really in the entirety of Jefferson Parish.
I
See
support
my
Mary
mind
Edwards
sounds
because I
nice,
trust her.
Jack.
Number one in my book, and I think that's tied very
Mike?
closely.
That was Salt and
The
Pepper.
microphone.
He's a good judge.
Yeah.
He's a good.
You was talking about,
The same
I saw a video
qualities
you were
that
talking
make a good
about
judge would make him a
Queen
good
Latifah.
counsel.
Yeah.
person.
Yeah, people. I mean, you know, people don't. A lot of people don't even know Queen Latifah was a rapper because she's an actress and
Right.
she's been in, I would say, more movies than albums.
By now, yeah.
Yeah, that she has, and so.
Public service, and I feel like my job
Okay.
Okay.
gives me a duty to perform, and I
Um,
want to do well.
but her
And I
music
think
was so
that
purposeful
makes me
and
work
clear,
all harder.
you know.
Right.
Qualifications are impressive. Degree in business, masters in public
Then what did you say? It was a video?
graduate of the Federal
When you
Law
were
Enforcement
performing
Training Center,
at the
Temple
I Am
Federal Law
Assistant,
Enforcement
you
Officer,
would ask
Oh,
the
yeah.
crowd something about Queen Latifah, and it was like, I didn't see them, I just saw you ask them, whatever they gave you back, informs you they didn't know who the hell Queen Latifah was.
Well, they had a lot of children in our audience. But
Right.
shout out to I Am My Sister and Kendra Joy.
Yeah,
You know,
on the move.
if y'all weren't able to make it that day or that evening, you missed something. You
right.
definitely missed something. I understand people are busy, and there's always so much to do on the weekend. But I do want to shout the work that Kendra Joy is doing out for women.
That's right.
For women.
All right, family. Welcome back to True Love Movement Tuesdays here on WBOK 1230 AM Real Talk for Real Times. It's your host, Brother Shaq.
And Mama Fiyah.
And that's Siyami in the background. She's not feeling too well, but
I'm about to take care of one.
she's in the best shape she could be in this very moment, given the circumstances. So, again, Mama Fiyah, gratitude to you for being the constant and competent community mama that you are, you know, after your own 5 children, and then so many godchildren, and even up to the minute you are mamaing. So on behalf of everyone, we are grateful for your hands, your heart, and your example, you know, about what's possible and how we can, no matter what our circumstances is, be very, very supportive to our people, and everybody can do something so that nobody has to do everything. So thank you for that. And thank you all for joining us. We know there's so many things happening here in New Orleans and elsewhere about the globe, and especially at 5 o'clock in the evening. And so much gratitude to all of our folks who have called in with some very good insight and contributions to the show. as well as everyone who is listening, whether you're listening on the ride home with the children or coming home from work, sitting in traffic. We're grateful for you. We really, really are, because you do have choices, and we're honored that you've chosen to take this ride with us as we wind down our last and final hour for today's True Love Movement Tuesdays, which the show is titled and topic is The Art of Letting Go. This is the relationship series, and this one is the 401-5, the number 5 like a mighty fist for you, Mama Fiyah. And we want to again encourage our listeners and viewers to chime in on the Facebook Live. If you like True Love Movement on Facebook, you can see us do the live here in the studio, as well as you can call us on the solution line at 504-260-9265. Again, that call-in number is 504-260-9265. This, again, today's topic is the art of letting go. And we covered a lot of good ground already. We got a full studio with Mama Fiyah and Iyame in her arms, and because Iyame is not feeling 100, Mama Fiyah has been stepping in to accommodate her and do her best for Iyame. And so we understand the necessity of her absence in this moment, and we're going to keep the show going because this is live radio. And there are a few things that I certainly want to get Mama Fiyah back here to talk about, because her voice in this discussion is critical as a black woman, and also as the woman and the founder and creator of True Love Movement. Her insight and what she says, her perspectives and her experience really does shape. It shapes all of us. And so we're anxious to hear from her some more. But as she's soothing Iyame, I wanted to talk a little bit about me and bring me into the conversation as it relates to the art of letting go. To let go of something, you've got to be very sure about what it is you're holding on to, what you're carrying. So we don't want to make this show seem like it's just about stopping something or dropping something. There's got to be some introspection and some analysis about what you're holding and why you're holding it, and then what has informed you that was the thing to do. And so as it relates to me about letting go, we were talking about social constructs, and Mama Fiyah mentioned that for the duration of her life, her adult life, definitely, but even as far back she said she can remember, she's always had a man or had to have a man, and I thought that was a powerful and brave thing for her to say about her own experience, and again, we know that though that is her experience, it is not an unusual experience, because that is pretty much how the socialization goes, that you need to be with someone. And I wanted to just say, from a complimentary standpoint, I haven't had it that way in terms of always having a woman, but I have been a serial monogamist, and even after with several so-called failed marriages, under my belt or in my experience, and a big part of that, and I started that in my very early 20s. I want to say I was 21, and I didn't come from, as Mama Fiyah was describing, I did not come from the proverbial 2-parent household or the healthy family dynamic. That wasn't my experience, and so I coveted the whole idea of being married and being a husband and having the nuclear family and all of the I always refer back to my model for that was the Cosby Show. That I really aspired for that. I thought that was the way. Now, I did not grow up that way, but there's another example of how media helps us, formulate what we think are our views and values and opinions, but they're really just someone else's construct that's rooted in control. And so I was, very, very persistent about creating my own kind of Huxtable sort of situation, and, very unsuccessful with that, and never happened, and I didn't give up. Although I'd redirected my aspirations and no longer was trying to do the Huxtable thing, I still realized that there's value, particularly for me as a black man, to be in a marriage, and a committed relationship, because there are social rewards for that. For brothers who are single or perpetually single, and the pressure is not the same, Mama Fiyah, for black women who are single or perpetually single.
Mm-hmm.
Typically, when black women are single or perpetually single, the social construct says, well, something's got to be wrong with her. She can't get a man and she can't keep a man, so she's not
so true.
desirable
So true.
because she's broken or she's challenged. But also for black men though, that pressure doesn't exist. However, if you are a man who is a husband or a father in a committed relationship, that kind of a thing, if that is your experience, then you do get some social rewards for that, because you're regarded higher than, say, a brother who's just perpetually single or may have, children or all kinds of children or baby mamas or whatever the case is. You have a different experience. And so I was very, very careful to not have a whole bunch of baby mamas, and I only have, children with one woman. And, that's really not, today at 45 years old, that's really neither here nor there, because that's insignificant for the construct, because that still says, because I'm not with my children's mother, that there's something essentially that I did wrong or we did wrong. And then there was a time I had to let that go. I had to let that go in order to move beyond that. But even moving beyond that, even though I did not, the following relationships or the subsequent relationships did not yield more children, they also were unsustainable, for a number of reasons, and many of those reasons that we've discussed and talked about already in the first hour of the show. But the relationships were just completely insolvent, and I was a big part of that because I was in it. So it wasn't that I was victimized, by the relationship. As a matter of fact, it was what I was attempting to do, because I was in pursuit of that, because that is what I believed I needed to be a part of to be a good man.
Right.
To be perceived as a good man, number one, and to also reassure myself that I was in fact a good man and productive man, and I wasn't quote unquote no count or whatever the case was. So that and the societal pressures that go along with that have shaped every relationship that I've had, really for my entire life, but particularly as a grown person, even up to and up through this one. That there's this part inside of relationships, particularly lengthy relationships, because they have a significant length of time. There's a built-in understanding that there's success, measurable success inside the relationship, because the relationship is sustainable. But
not necessarily.
Well, that's what I was saying about sustainable, because sustainable is a temporary thing. Sustainable is not necessarily forever. And so, I thought about this morning, we were talking a little bit this morning, and how when I think about lifespan, I think about something very long and lengthy. I think about like wingspan. I just think long when I think lifespan. But when I really thought about it much deeper this morning when I woke up, lifespan, everything don't live long. Nothing lives forever. Everything eventually does come to an end. Some things end faster than other things, and I know that that's relative, but there is nothing that is really finite. So it becomes a fantasy that I can construct or create or co-create or possess a forever. And so much of the relating that I've done for the entirety of my life has been rooted in trying to get a forever. And in the course of trying to get that forever, there's blinders and there's cues and clues that you should let go, that I should let go. But there's the thought of, I don't want to fail, I don't want to be perceived a failure, I don't want to, all of the things that come up, because there's a penalty, there's a consequence for those who are not successful. Sometimes it's subtle, even though we know statistically in America, 51% of marriages end in divorce. And so our brother who called earlier, who was very helpful, I really appreciate that brother, because he was making the analogy or the correlation between, cutting your losses in a business arrangement and how we function inside of a intimate partner relationship, which I think is what he alluded to. But like that idea that I can attain something, and that if I lose it or don't have it, I'm less than, and I'm not as valuable, and I'm regarded in a negative sort of way, and that'll make you try to hold on to something when you should let go of it. So there's the fear. There's the fear. So I want to share a little bit about my personal thing, because that's not like the distant past. That's currently. That's in real time. And I wanted that to be. I wanted to share that because
Thank you for sharing.
Because I think it's important that we acknowledge that something that has a lifespan is just that. I mean, it is not forever. That things are in effect. I think what did I say? It's more permanence. That I have been for my entire life in the pursuit of permanence.
And there's nothing.
And there's nothing
that's permanent.
There's nothing permanent. and accepting that without it feeling like a defeat, Mama Fiyah. I just wanted to qualify that.
Yeah, and I think I was reading that article about Will Smith and Jada Pinkett, his wife, Pinkett Smith, or Pinkett Smith, I'm not sure how her name is said, but talking about, that there's nothing that she could do to make them break up.
Right.
And what a beautiful concept.
Yes.
Because, breaking up means, for one, let me say breaking up is hard to do.
Breaking up is definitely hard.
And there's a process to break up right. There's a way, there is a way to break up right. And no one knows, no one knows how to do that. And I think in that case with Will Smith and his wife, or his, I'm not even going to call him his wife, his life partner. Yeah. It's more than just a marriage that they're talking about here.
Right.
That they're talking about. This is a connection, and it's a connection to not hold anything behind, not try to hold or control or mold anyone.
Right.
Just make a decision that we are good, we are friends, and we're gonna stay friends,
Right.
And support each other in other kind of ways. But I mean, I thought that was so different of a way of thinking, and I know it's shattering the fabric of what we know marriage is, and what we know traditional relationships are.
Yes.
And and there's some people that say, oh no, we shouldn't do that, we should go back to how things used to be back in the day. But I mean, there were things going on in marriages that no one spoke about.
That's
no one
right.
talked about. Do we think marriages was so great back then when things were quote unquote traditional?
Right.
Do we think people didn't have the same type of problems that they have now? It just was undercover and hush hush.
Right.
Nobody spoke about it, but it was still happening. And that's why it's continuing to happen and get worse.
That's right.
Because we have not taken the time it takes, those 7 years, 21 and 28, to figure out who we are.
That's right.
We go right into relationships because that's what we're supposed to do. We get married. Both you and I got married at 21 years old.
21.
That is too young. People should have pulled us to the side and say, bro, you don't have to do that. Like, relax. Relax on that.
Right.
But that's what we felt like we were made for.
Right.
We were made to be in relationships with people, and we didn't even know who we were.
That's right.
We didn't have a relationship with a solid relationship with ourselves. And so, in my case, I'm going from one person to another and another and another without stopping.
Right.
And yes, I took some time off to, figure out who I was, who I am. But in that case, that those were some 9 months. you know, what makes me think that that was it?
Right.
What makes me think that 9 months was enough?
Mm-hmm.
That a year was enough, or whatever was enough to just center on myself as somebody who maybe wasn't in a relationship, but still nonetheless had to take care of people.
Right.
Had to take care of everybody around. You know, and there's a role that a black woman plays.
Mm-hmm.
You know, this is the Mamie role that black women plays that says, come on, baby, come on to my bosom, and come on, drink all you can.
Right.
Because I have everything in store for you, and whatever you need, I have in my purse.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? That woman, that black woman role that says, I have you. And a part of it is true. Part of it is true. But then part of it is completely out of balance.
Right.
Completely out of balance.
That's right.
You know, how could she be that for everybody and live a good quality, long life full of vitality?
Right.
How could that happen? All of the Mamie roles, including my mama, you know, women I knew who played those roles died early.
Yeah.
They died at an early age. They were squeezed out, completely squeezed out with no room for themselves in that, you know? And this is not, I struggle with language in describing this because it sounds selfish. If you hear it back, it may sound selfish to somebody who's never hit rock bottom and never had to say, wait a minute, I do have something, I have me.
Right.
You know, that journey, I can't forget I have me.
Right.
You know, I think about Jill Scott's, One is the Magic Number, a very simple song she has. One is the Magic Number. Simple and just kind of easy to understand that if anybody leaves, I still have me.
Right.
You know, if anybody chooses to leave, if I choose to leave, if things need to change for whatever reason, I still have me. I have me.
Right.
Yeah, I got my own back kind of thing.
Right.
And that's a new idea. It's a new concept, as far as I know, Brother Shaq, because even listening to the R&B now, it's a little more crude,
right,
and a little more tongue-in-cheek, but it's still the same music.
Yeah.
It's still the same stuff that, who am I without you?
Right.
Please don't leave me, girl. You know, it's the same kind of thing. Like, I can't live without you.
Right.
But what happens if somebody were to die? What happens if somebody... There are people who are stuck in grief because a person transitioned or died and they cannot live without that person.
Cannot move on.
And so now there's no life. There's no more vitality. They might as well be dead.
Right.
But you're here for a reason.
That's right.
And that person left and needed to go. But, you know, that's why I was saying the only person you can't live without is you.
Only person.
The only person you can't live without is you.
That's right.
And we're talking about science here. You know what I'm saying? Like, and we talked about, you know, detaching from people, de-attaching. You know, we attach to people and say, you're mine.
That's right.
And I need you to feel balanced. And I need you to feel good about myself. And I need you to control.
Right.
Because if you don't, then I have no sense of who I am without you. That's a problem.
It is.
It's unhealthy. And you know, to me, when we're in unhealthy situations, we need to go back and get what we're missing.
Right.
You know, when we're unhealthy, when we feel unhealthy, a lot of times there's a nutrient deficiency.
Yeah.
Or maybe you're dehydrated. You got to go back and get what it is you need.
Right.
And you can be deficient, emotionally deficient. You can be all kind of deficient. And so go back and get what it is you need and stop carrying people with you and destroying lives and, you know, hurting people and all of that. Go get what you need.
Right. That is the art that we're talking about of letting go.
The art.
That is an art to it. It isn't just
willy-nilly. It's not
drop it like it's hot.
Yeah, drop it and then continue doing the same thing you've done before. Stop.
Somewhere else. Yeah.
Sankofa. Look back and try to get what it is that you missed.
You know, thank you for that, Mama Fiyah. As you were talking about that, you said a couple of things that made me think about the whole identity piece. You know, when you're talking about the roles, the traditional roles that black women have always played from the plantation till now, that is normative and expected, even to the degree that if they don't do that, then they are ostracized, or you're considered to be weak, or I mean, there's just a lot of external pressures, and these things are very nuanced, but very, very real, and very normative for the experience. But you know, you mentioned identity, and I thought about, you know, the identities, the personal singular identities that folk have or let go of inside of the relationship, and the ramifications of that. Because I know we were talking just the other day, you know, in real time. Even today, as a matter of fact, I was listening to a brother. We were working, and a couple brothers actually, but some things came up, and so I was sharing some things that I was working on, and brother's like, "Well, you working on that?" I'm like, "Yeah." I said, "What do you think? You think I don't work on anything?"
Come on.
Like matter of fact, I'm working on something with me constantly.
Yes.
There ain't no stopping it because there's so much to do. And there's so much, as you've very well articulated throughout this year, there's so much to discover about yourself. Or
find yourself out.
In this case, myself.
Yeah.
And so, and then, you know, in listening to you even, and I noticed it yesterday. Well, it's not the first time I noticed it, but I was heightened, my ears were heightened. I also noticed it on Sunday, but you had said something to me about your identity, your individual singular identity, and also my individual singular identity. And for as a in a long-term relationship like this, that I was somewhere yesterday, and the first thing they said, "Well, where's Mama Fiyah?"
Yeah.
And I thought, well, she's at home. You know, she's at home right now. And there was no problem with it. But even in the store, well, where's that lovely lady at? Like, you know, hey, how you doing? Where's that lovely lady at? And and that's been the case.
And it happens to me too. I walk in a place and you know, I walk in and I'm ready to have fun. I'm walking in, I'm ready to join in, and everybody's like, "Where's Brother Shaq?" You know, as if the only place I can be is with him. Or the only place I can totally be in a room or in a space is with Brother Shaq.
Right.
How is that fair? How is that? How are you looking? You know, how are we connecting as human beings when you're looking for my quote unquote better half?
Right.
You know. Go ahead, but I didn't mean to.
No. Thank you, because that's. I mean, your voice is needed on that, because when you shared that with me, I thought, man, that's really deep. You know, because I hadn't really thought about it as a deficit or deficient thing, but it completely invisibilizes you as a singular individual human being, and it does the same thing for me. Like, you know, but you qualified that and said something to the effect of that, you know, because earlier in the conversation, if you all have just joined us, we're talking about the art of letting go. And earlier in the show, I was saying how we select different constructs because of the transactional nature of what they produce in terms of societal norms and acceptability, and that it has to do with, you know, consequence or reward. And so, you know, something to the effect of you and I singularly are treated, I think, and you said, you know, essentially, you know, better because we're together.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying?
Oh, I'm clear. I am clear that people respect me more because of you. People respect me more. Yeah.
When you said that, I thought, wow, that's heavy. Because even I had never considered anything like that, obviously.
We don't respect single mamas. We don't respect women with children who are alone. This culture does not respect that. This culture respects women more when they have a husband.
Right.
Because when they have a husband, they seem upright and they seem, you know, great enough so that you're able to get a husband. You would catch a husband and keep a husband, so you must be good.
Catch one and keep one.
Yeah, like
that's heavy.
It's heavy. It's heavy.
It's heavy.
Go to sleep, girl.
That's heavy. And thank you for sharing that. And I will say, you know, as a black man, as your partner here in this relationship, it's much the same for me. I am much more of much more acceptable. You know what I'm saying? As a brother who's in a marriage, a committed relationship, because I don't think I'm viewed as someone who's hunting per se. You know, I was watching somebody talk about you know, black men who are in the community who are essentially just kind of, you know, hunting or exploiting sisters for whatever reason, you know, more predatory kind of shit, kind of stuff, you know. And so that being inside a relationship kind of insulates, you know, me from having to combat that or challenge that. You know, it's the sister Sonia Maria says folks get caught up in needing that validation through relationships and titles.
Yeah.
That's right.
I mean, we get caught up in the validation of it, but also like people outside of us are like, you know, you guys are the pinnacle of black love, and you are, you know, thank you, you have inspired me and my wife to this, that, and the other.
Right.
And here, the black power couple just walked into the building.
Yeah.
Oh, black love is in the building, and listen, that's putting people on a pedestal they did not ask to go.
That's right.
There, that did not ask to go. Sure, we know black love and we love each other, and we understand what it takes to keep black love alive, but we can't shatter the foundation of black love when we decide that we're not going to be together anymore.
That's right.
Hello? Knock, knock, knock. Is this thing on?
Say it again, Mama.
We cannot shatter the idea of black love when we decide we're not going to be together no more.
That's right.
That either we grew apart or think we need to take a break or whatever the case may be. And so we don't need to destroy that for anyone. Just like the Cosby Show. The Cosby Show, it was a entertainment. It was entertainment. It was not real. It was a fantasy.
That's right.
You know, real black love takes time, and it takes patience, and sometimes it takes separation, and sometimes it takes time apart. Somebody, you know, it
radical.
takes. Yeah, definitely, it's radical, and it takes newfound understanding on how to love.
Right.
It's not on TV. Black love's not on TV. No. Black love is in you.
Yeah.
You know, and it expands itself out of you, and it can look so many different ways. So, you know, it's been very unfair to have to live up to something like that. When I just want to live, I just want to be exactly who I am. That's what I think is best for black love.
Right on. And just to add to that, I think that there is a draw, because like you said, did not ask for the pedestal. There is a hope, though. There is a hope of the, you know, we talk a lot about that on the show. The many of the young people, they just don't even believe in love. Like that doesn't exist.
I mean, it's a trip. They really don't.
Yeah.
Yeah, we believe in it too much.
Right.
It's out of balance both ways.
It's out of balance, but I also think it is perhaps misunderstood. It's mischaracterized because it's more of a facade kind of a thing, and it doesn't really, like when I was saying earlier, just moments ago, when I think about the term or hear the term lifespan, that sends a signal to me that there's something lengthy in it, that's automatically lengthy. But in truth, a lifespan can be a year, it could be 2 years, it could be 100 years, it could be 10. I mean, a lifespan is whatever the span of the life is. It doesn't necessarily mean long or lengthy. And even no matter
long
how
don't necessarily have to mean better.
Well, and
long doesn't mean better.
No matter how long it is, it still will end. That's the other part. So even if it is very, very lengthy, it will still have an expiration date on it.
Right.
So there ain't no getting out of, there ain't no something lasts forever, and that's really what it is.
Forever?
Yeah. So
in the words of our brother Andre 3000,
right.
You know what I'm saying? Like, sorry, Miss Jackson, it's things fall apart.
Right.
Things fall apart. Things fall apart, and then they come together even better than they were before.
That's right.
So, you know, I'm never scared of that. I ain't scared of much. I tell people that on a regular basis. I ain't scared of much. You know, I'm doing what my spirit say do.
Right.
Finally. And this is what it looked like. It's messy. It gets messy sometimes, you know? And when you keep striving toward your higher self, there are a lot of people who fall off and don't like you no more because you do, I mean, whatever the case may be. Choices. But if you stay the course, You know, and sometimes we stay in the course and we, you know, thinking about relationships, we stay in the course in lieu of developing
right
ourselves
Hide.
and actualizing ourselves. And I do believe two people can actualize together. I do believe that two people can grow together. But sometimes, you know, I don't know,
You have
things
to
fall
grow.
apart.
Well, you have to grow. I think there are occasions, and maybe more often than not, especially since we're just not skilled in that area of collective growth, that individual growth really or self-mastery, you know, really has to happen. And if there's any kind of deficits or deficiencies singularly with people inside of relationships, they're going to impact the relationship. So to add on or expand on what you said earlier, there's nothing in so much as the way our relationship has been constructed and even sustained and maintained, intertwined with true love movement, that there's perhaps some misunderstanding that the relationship is the movement. You know?
Yes, there's a huge misunderstanding
Right, that the relationship
true love
is the
movement
movement.
has to do with black love and two people coming together and
No.
being committed to each other in a romantic love. It never
It
was
was never
about
that.
that. It was never about that. That is the icing on the cake. When you love yourself, you're
Right.
going to have a beautiful, magical relationship with someone when you attract somebody who loves themselves as much as you do.
That's
you're going to
right.
have a beautiful time.
That's right.
But that's not what this is about.
That's right. And it never was.
Never.
It never was. And it was the commitment to conceptually and the development and cultivation of true love movement that actually brought us together and then preceded, that was the thing. And so the idea that it's all this romantic love, because in fact we've been a couple, is not true. It's not accurate. And there's something missing. But what's missing is that there's a thought of the facade that it should be that. That's what it's all about. Like our brother who called earlier, he said, and I know he said it seriously, but he also said it, he was kind of resigned to it. Like, well, ain't it really about love, And when I understand what people are saying, there's a gentleness that goes with the thought of love, and that love is just simply by itself a feeling, and it doesn't really give love an opportunity to be fully what love is, which is much more of an actionable thing.
Yes.
Than simply a feeling. It's
all action.
It's an actionable thing, and there are feelings that inform the action, but it's really rooted in not what you intend to do, but what you actually do, and the things that inspire you. So in that regard, yes. And so that's the truth in the true love movement. That's the truth. And so we're talking the self aspect. That was the very first relationship show that we did, 101.
Relationships 101, Brother Shay.
With yourself.
101.
101.
Yeah, and then, it sounds so foreign from what we've been taught.
Definitely.
And no one told me any of this stuff. I just found my way through it. Found my way through it, and I gotta know that it's been right.
Definitely.
Because it's carried me very far. It's carried me to this point that I'm at now. And now there's a big transition happening, and now something has to change, and like it's changed before, and there's just something that I gotta go get that I missed.
That's right.
Yeah, and identifying what I missed, and then identifying how to go get it.
Right.
Is what's been happening for the last couple of years.
Right.
Yeah, and now, now it's the change.
It's at this point in development.
This point. Now it's at the change place.
That's right.
Yeah.
And that's where the art of letting go of old paradigms, things that no longer suit, things that aren't in alignment with the future, with 2020 vision, with clear vision, and the courage to do that. That's a matter of personal agency. One of the greatest things that, I don't want to say greatest things, one of the most disenfranchising parts about the way love is conceived and structured in this society, in our social construct, is that it requires the giving up of the self.
Yes.
that
And that's all up in the Bible too.
right, to fully love and to love someone, it ain't got nothing to do with yourself. To love someone, you have to give up something, which usually is yourself. And that goes on what you were saying biblically about that whole sacrifice thing and, you know, denial and self-denial. And we can see, if we look in current society, the ways that has served our people, and it really has never. What it has done is it has maintained the notion that what relationships are really about is our subtle ways of really trying to control other human beings.
Oh my goodness, Brother Shaq, say that again.
that the whole point about relationships are about subtle ways to control other human beings. And I'm saying this more expressly for black folk, because that's really oftentimes why we're in it, even to the degree that we'll work very hard to control other people to get a certain level of satisfaction and not even look at ourselves in terms of, well, what could I do? Or what could I really be? And so then there's a lot of pressure and then, but the expectation that someone said something, Shantice Denise was saying on the Facebook Live, either way, love is not the expectation of a few seasons of a favorite TV show as far as length or how it may go, all the shade. That's funny. But the whole expectation thing is definitely real. Now, Greg Barabino, he's just chimed in. What's going on, brother? Good to thank you for joining us. He says to love someone truly is a pleasure to give oneself. And I see that, but if the thing is, and not but it's a reflection. All relationships that we're a part of, regardless of what the relational dynamic is, all relationships that we're a part of is a reflection of the relationship that we have with ourselves. All of them are. And what they do is they show us areas that we still need to grow to be solid within ourselves. You want to say something?
And we're throwing around love like it's a simple thing. You know, he said to love someone truly, to love someone completely. Who do you love truly and completely? That's what I want to know. Are we really loving truly and completely? Yeah. I think a good, kind of example of maybe loving truly and completely is what Will and Jada Smith are doing. Right. And I'm not putting them on a pedestal at all.
Because we really
but
don't know.
That brother is saying she can't do nothing. She can't do nothing to make us break up. Right. That's wide. That's saying who she is good enough for me, no matter what she decides. That's right. I love her just the way she is. That's Think about that, family. The intimate partner that you choose in your life, if they were to gain weight or lose weight, if they were to rob a bank or not, if they were to tell your child that maybe isn't her child something, or if they were to we got too many scenarios to love someone truly and completely. We throwing it around like it's actually doable for black people. And I do believe it is, but there's a lot of work that has to happen first.
A lot of work.
A lot of work, because we want to control people. We want to tell people what they can and cannot do, because if you do this, I'm leaving you.
Right. Now we're
if
back
you
to the
do
control.
this, I'm leaving you. If you don't do this, I'm leaving you. Right? So, as women, we are taught that to keep a man. We know how to keep a man. That's easy. You feed him, you clean up, you run his bad water, you press his clothes, you make sure his clothes are clean, you take him to the cleaners when they need to go, and you make sure that he's satisfied in the bed. That's all you gotta do. But as soon as you cannot do one of those things, where is he going? You can't keep no man. You can't keep no man. Ain't no man to be kept. You know, a man keeps himself.
That's right.
A man keeps himself. And if you, I get passionate, she wake up every time. But if a man has not kept his own self first, you ain't keeping him. Right?
That's right.
And so, men are taught, okay, all I got to do is go to work and bring a whole check home.
Whole check.
Right? That's all I got to do. Then I can do whatever I want to do. And she's fine because she got money in her hand. These are the things that we've learned, my people.
That's it.
And we're going to talk about how we can truly love someone. That's truly love yourself. Try that first. And if you skip the step or you miss the step, you may have to go get it.
That's
and
right.
you may have to stop in this very minute and stop it right away and go
That's
get
right.
what you need to get before you move any further.
That's right.
And no one can come with you.
That's right.
No one is coming with you. You have to do that part.
That's
that
right.
part is the hard part. And it's hard and it hurts.
Definitely.
I know it hurts. I know it hurts when you have to just stop and say, wait a minute, I gotta figure something out. I gotta go back and get something. And then the person you with is like, well, why you leaving me? Why you doing this? Why you doing it? And they take it personally.
Mm-hmm.
And then, then they get angry. And
Yep.
then, the breakup turns in ugly.
That's
and,
right.
we talking about each other behind each other back. We on social media with it. And
Right.
all these different things.
Messy.
There's a way to take a break. And there's a way to break up.
That's right.
Which is mutual and respectful for the heart of the other person. For the heart of the other
That's right.
person. You care much about their heart.
Mm-hmm.
You care because you know your own heart and you know how it would
Right.
feel. You're able to do that. You're able to switch in between the two
Compassion.
things.
Empathy.
Compassion for each other.
Right.
And if Brother Shaq has ever taught you or anyone how to be in a relationship, we're gonna teach you how to break up.
Right on. That's right. That's part of the lessons. The lessons they're ongoing. They don't stop. And so, as we're winding it down for these 2 hours, and it's been a really, really intense, really good 2 hours talking about today's topic, the art of letting go, and really looking at the humane ways to do things. I wanted to add in there that we didn't talk much about the foundation of the intimate relationship, the friendship. We didn't talk about that.
Right.
And I wanted to sprinkle a little bit of that in just to provide context, because sometimes the letting go part of it, or as Mama Fiyah was describing as the breakup or the taking a break or whatever the terminology that fits your particular situation is, it's rooted in the fact that there wasn't a foundational relationship that was rooted in truth and trust and honor and respect and integrity before the intimate partnership blossomed from that. That's not what happened. And so when that doesn't happen, that is when folk are messy and angry and whatever the case is, because you didn't really have a solid foundation or a solid base. And there's no way to create a solid base with someone else if your own base is shaky. And that's important, because when people do have to make a decision that the relationship as it stands has run its course, and then what the next thing happens is that relationship, the way I think about it, Mama Fiyah, is the relationship can be reshaped. If there was ever a relationship there, if there was ever a friendship from a foundational standpoint, that relationship can be reshaped to include and accommodate whatever the present and future needs are of the relationship. And that was much of what I interpreted the article that Will Smith, well, whoever, I don't know that he wrote it, but that article that was about that, because I can feel that loving you is forever, that not for a length of time. Now, what loving you looks like may have to look different. But that's really always been the case. I remember even saying, but hey, this is what it requires today. This is what loving you requires today, as an example. And so that can happen when there is a foundational, integrity, honor, mutual respect, and a real authentic friendship as a base.
Yes.
That you can quote unquote let go or release. You can release certain aspects of the relationship as it has formed and allow it to take new shape. Not reshape it, from the outside, but the way it organically grows. And so I wanted to just add that in there to make sure that the notion wasn't incomplete, that you simply, this is just mechanical, and that you, quote unquote, you act this way, because then that's the other thing. Folk act.
Act good.
How well you right, act right, or whatever the act is, and then but but to really to be human, and like that's done because there are rewards or consequences based upon how good the acting is. You know what I'm saying?
So true.
And that's unfair, and it's also unnecessary because it's deceptive, and so there's it's still, regardless of what you're letting go of in regard to relationships, whether we're talking about intimate part of relationships, you know, family connections, friends, whatever it is, when it comes a time to let go, to detach, because you can detach and not disconnect. Correct?
Right, definitely.
You can detach and not disconnect.
Yeah.
The attachment, you know, attachments are that's what we do because we're trying to really hold on to somebody, you know, or something. So we attach. But if you have a real connection, there's no need for attach. And what I'm saying, like your arm, you know, if you're listening and you do have both of your arm is connected to your body.
Mm-hmm.
It's not attached. You can't take it off, and everything gonna be all right. Now, if you got on some clothes, the clothes may be attached to you. You can take those off, but your skin, this is connected to you. And so that's what we're saying, that if the real authentic connection exists, the connection remains and the attachment can be let go of.
When I think of being attached, I know we gotta go soon, but I think of being attached, I think of you know, separation anxiety that children get when they're attaching or attached to their parents. You know, you get sick when you can't see that person, or you can't do this with that person, or say with, you know what I'm saying?
Right.
Attached is, I need that person to make me feel whole.
Right.
Whereas connection is two whole people, you know, establishing a bond, a true bond.
That's right.
A bond, you know, connection through the bond, and versus attachment is, there's something really rough about that idea. Like, you know, I'm grabbing you. Or I'm coming along with you, you know, kind of thing, instead of it happening naturally and healthily.
Right. Shantice Denise dropped one on us where we don't have the time to really dig into it, but she talked about soul ties.
Oh.
And that could be a whole show in of itself, because I don't fully understand that.
Yeah, I looked it up. I looked it up at one point. Yeah.
I mean, yeah, and I was introduced to the concept a long time ago, and I'm not fully versed in it, but I know it's important because it is a reference point for many people.
Yes, it is. People talk about it all the time. And the thing about it is, two people can be soul tied, but it's really one person soul tied to another.
Right.
And that's the attachment that we're talking about,
Right.
and versus connection.
Right. Right. And so that's interesting, and we thank you, Shantice Denise, for dropping that in.
She's been dropping all kinds of jewels. Y'all look on the thread.
Yes.
And connect with Shantice Denise.
That's right, but don't attach.
Right.
Connect, but don't attach. And what we would say to you is again, share this show. If you like True Love Movement on Facebook, you can watch the show because it is a 2-hour show, and so if you caught pieces of it, or you'd like to just remember the whole experience, you know, watch it again and share it with folk that you respect, and then it'll make its way to YouTube. And so, like the True Love Movement Hour on YouTube, and then you can see this video shortly, and then other previous videos, and the comment sections are there. We'd love some feedback from you, because as we said, you know, True Love Movement is solid. And it will be for the foreseeable future, and it's always been.
Yeah.
And what we're going to do singularly is redevelop, redefine ourselves, and cultivate our own singular identities.
I love it.
In very, very healthy ways, and still very, very much so connected, though.
And still very, very much love flowing between.
In love and love, yeah.
Yeah, in love, for love, by love, to
That's
love,
right.
all those things, you know, because we're developing it in ourselves. And
That's
so,
right.
Brother Shaq, thank you for putting it that way. Thank you for putting it that way.
Well, right on. I mean, I had to do something. You got the baby over there. You've been stepping out for a lot of the show, taking care of you. I mean, so the least I could do is hold it up. That's what love do, y'all.
Yeah.
That's how love works. And that's love in action, as it always has been. So follow True Love Movement on Instagram, like True Love Movement on Facebook. There's www.truelovemovement.com. Check that out. be on the lookout for upcoming events.
Sunday.
Every
yes.
Sunday, 6 o'clock.
Yep.
Free to speak.
Free to speak.
1683.
1683 North Claiborne Avenue at 6 o'clock.
6 p.m.
Free to speak.
Neo Jazz School of Music every Sunday. Get your real open mic scenario going on. And so for True Love Movement Tuesday, shout out to Jazz on the other side of the glass family for holding us up. Shout out to Yami for doing her part. And
she did the best she could.
That's right. And we all do the best we could, family. That is the art of letting go. It's October 1st, 2019, here in New Orleans on WBOK 12:30 AM, Real Talk for Real Times. I'm Brother Shaq.
And Mama Fiyah.
Wholeness. All right, Facebook Live family, y'all hung in there with us? Yami hung in there with us?
I don't feel good.
Oh, yeah? All right, you and the Yami, give the people something.
Wholeness.
Wholeness.